Training to become a Jedi Knight is not a process that is completed and then an individual moves on. Becoming a Jedi is a lifelong commitment to a way of life and outlook. Becoming a Jedi Knight is not a trial of self. It is committing yourself to maintaining peace and order throughout the galaxy for all those who reside in it. On the planet of Tatooine, Qui-Gon Jinn told Anakin Skywalker exactly what he would be in for if he chose to become a Knight of the Order. It will be a hard life, one without reward, without remorse, without regret. A path will be placed before you, the choice is yours alone. Do what you think you cannot do. It will be a hard life, but you will find out who you are. Welcome to a video where we will break down and analyze exactly what it takes to become a Jedi Knight and what it means after one has become a Jedi. Generally, students were inducted into the Order of the Jedi at an extremely young age, typically 2 to 5 years old, but some exceptions were made throughout the history of the Order, such as Anakin Skywalker and Asherad Het. Importantly though, in the beginning years of training, younglings learned how to feel the Force and achieve inner peace. When a child first entered the Order of the Jedi, they would be placed into a group of up to 20 children, where various masters of the Order would teach them basic skills with the lightsaber, such as beginning blast deflection. After several years of training, the 20 or so Jedi learners would venture to the planet of Ilum, where they would select their lightsaber crystals, and officially become Jedi Padawans. As Jedi Padawans, each learner was assigned to typically a Jedi Master, but in some cases would be paired with a Jedi Knight as a test for their most promising, or in some cases, most worrisome members of the Order. For several more years, the Jedi would train under their respective masters, learning firsthand the hardships the galaxy had to offer, and coming face to face with the darkness that covered many areas of the galaxy. Many Padawans would be sent on missions with their masters that spanned many months or potentially even years. The typical training period of a Jedi Padawan was over a decade, but each case was different, and a Jedi learner would not become a Knight until their promise was apparent to all members of the Order. At this point in their training, each Padawan would ascend to the rank of Knight, at different times representative of their promise as a Jedi of the Order. To do so, however, required the Padawans to have passed the Jedi Trials. The Jedi Trials were not typical trials placed before Padawans as a controlled test. The trials were to be endured in the harsh galaxy at unexpected times. However, there were some cases where Jedi trials were conducted as a controlled test for each specific Jedi learner. It often takes a Jedi learner years to complete each trial, and it is in this stage that many potential Jedi fail and depart from the Order. To pass the trials, a Jedi must experience 9 important tests and learn how to cope when times are at their most dark and hopeless. These 9 tests were teamwork, isolation, fear, anger, betrayal, focus, instinct, forgiveness, and protection. After betraying all of these things, a Jedi Padawan was still not permitted to become a Knight, because they then must experience the full extent of the Jedi Trials. The next 5 trials were appropriately named the Trials of Skill, Courage, Spirit, Flesh, and Insight. When a Jedi Padawan showed they could endure these tests, they showed they were worthy to become a Jedi Knight. To pass a trial of skill, a Padawan must show they have become a capable warrior, able to dismantle battle droids and engage in fast-paced lightsaber duels, also remaining calm and collected in life or death situations. A trial of courage is when a Padawan would rise up against overwhelming odds, showing they held no fear and were prepared to face any task. An example of a trial of courage would be Obi-Wan's duel with Darth Maul, after his master Qui-Gon was struck down. A trial of spirit would be reflecting on the faults within a Jedi's own self, exploiting and conquering their fears and desires, placing them behind them, and embracing the way of understanding and peace. An example of a trial of spirit would be Luke's vision in the cave on Dagobah, where he confronted his fears of becoming like Vader. A trial of flesh is when a Padawan endured insane amounts of pain, but held strong, showing they could remain composed and strong in the face of overwhelming pain. An example of a trial of flesh being Anakin's arm being severed by Dooku, or Luke's hand being cut off by Vader. And finally, a trial of insight is when a Padawan shown they could sense things not capable of perceiving with the eye. When a Jedi learner could sense one's true intentions and feelings, looking past what was presented before them and evaluating the truth of the situation and an individual. In many cases, large events served as a learner's trials, such as part of the Clone Wars for Anakin Skywalker, the duel on Naboo for Obi-Wan, or the framing of Ahsoka by Barriss, although Ahsoka refused her knighthood. Once the Council approved the knighting of a Jedi Padawan, the Master of the Order would sever the Padawan braids of the Jedi with their own lightsaber, dubbing them a Knight of the Order. Once becoming a Jedi Knight, a Jedi was asked to choose a path in which they desired to follow. The 3 paths of a Jedi were Guardian, Consular, or Sentinel. Jedi Guardians were the pure warriors of the Order, meant to be the first line of defense for the galaxy, and force that would serve as the primary fighters of the Order. Jedi Guardians often specialized in the more combative ways of using the Force, keeping their skills in battle sharp and ready for any foreseeable threat. Notable Jedi Guardians being Anakin Skywalker, Eth Koth, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Jedi Consulars were the group that considered themselves the most attuned to the pure state of the light side of the Force. Jedi Consulars often were the Jedi sent on political matters, as they were the most diplomatic and wished for harmony and peace above all else. These were also the Jedi that studied the Force and the galaxy itself, learning and attaining as much information as possible. Consulars typically spent much of their time meditating, tapping into and learning as much as they could through the state of the Force, in an effort to foresee coming conflicts or those that could potentially be in need. Noted Jedi Consulars being Shaak Ti, Kit Fisto, and Grandmaster Yoda. The last branch, the Jedi Sentinels, was viewed as the perfect marriage between a Guardian and a Consular. The Sentinels remained very in touch with the Force, but also focused on the combative abilities it granted. The typical roles of a Jedi Sentinel were to protect the Jedi Temple and occasionally be selected for undercover missions on behalf of the Order. Jedi Sentinels were also the Jedi responsible for keeping in touch with the people, in many cases living among them for years at a time, as to not become removed from the state of the galaxy. Not very many chose the path of the Jedi Sentinel due to their somewhat removed nature, as the common view was, why train endless hours and devote your entire life to becoming a Jedi to waste it roaming the cities and becoming accustomed with the people. Notable Jedi Sentinels being Bastila Shan and the individual that would eventually become known as the Grand Inquisitor. The next stage was striving to become a Jedi Master. To become a Jedi Master was the highest honor a Jedi could achieve, behind being named Master of the Order, which was usually held by a sole Master. Very few Jedi of each generation were ever named Master, as it was reserved for only the wisest and acclaimed members of the Order. The fastest path for one to achieve the gift of Master would be to train several apprentices, typically one after the other, and have all of them pass their trials and achieve the rank of Knight. If a Jedi were able to do this, and displayed they had the knowledge and power to not only elevate themselves, but others, was when one was gifted the rank of Master. As said earlier, very few members ever became Jedi Masters, as to do so was extremely difficult. In the Jedi Order, there was also the Jedi Council, which consisted of 12 Jedi Masters. These 12 Jedi resided over the Order as a whole, and were selected to sit on the Council due to specific abilities and skills they possessed. It took great skill and many years of experience for one to sit on the Council, as they ultimately decided the actions of the Order as a whole. There has only ever been one case when a Jedi was appointed to sit on the Council and not be a Master, that being Anakin Skywalker, who was placed there because of his skill and role as the Chosen One. Following this, two ranks remained in the Order of the Jedi, the first being Grand Master, which separated a Jedi from the rest, showing they had achieved the respect and admiration of the entire Council. In order for one to become a Grand Master, all Council members must unanimously agree to make one a Grand Master. Although extremely rare, there have been multiple Grand Masters at a single time, but this was typically done in the early days of the Jedi. The final rank of a Jedi was Master of the Order, which denoted one member of the Jedi Council as the clear leader and face of the Jedi as an entirety. Typically, Grand Master and Master of the Order was shared by a sole Jedi who held both titles. However, there have been times when the two have been separate. Master Yoda at one time handed the role of Master of the Order to Mace Windu, as he felt he was better prepared to lead the Council at that time. However, his time as Master of the Order was brief, and he eventually returned the title to Master Yoda. There have of course been special exceptions or shortcuts to becoming a Jedi, mainly based around the state of the galaxy at the time, with Luke Skywalker being the most well-known example of this. It should be noted though that Luke too held the potential that his father Anakin had before him, and it was this potential that allowed him to become a Jedi over the course of a few years rather than decades. Luke also endured many hardships and trials during his training and became very much a self-taught Jedi. Luke's training is a perfect example of the term trial by fire. So that is Jedi training and ranks broken down and analyzed. So now you too can understand the amount of work and dedication required to become a Jedi Knight. So now we come to the big question of the video. Do you believe you could become a Jedi if you so wished? And if you do, what path would you choose for yourself? I really appreciate you watching the video, especially if you made it this far. If you have any other lore topics or questions you want answered, do not hesttate to tweet them at me at StupendousWave on Twitter or leave a comment below and I will try my best to answer answer or make a full video dedicated to your topic. Thanks again so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.